There's a decision most people make in about 10 minutes. A form, a website, a phone call. Get it wrong and you don't pay for it once. You pay every month for the rest of your life. No appeal, no do-over, no refund. Here's the strange part. Almost everyone who makes this mistake believed they were doing the responsible thing. They had good insurance. They were still working. They were being careful. That's exactly why it happened. Because the most expensive Medicare mistakes don't look like mistakes. They look like common sense. So here's what I'll walk you through. The 7-month window nobody warns you about. The penalty that never goes away. And the exception that lets some people delay and owe nothing, plus the fine print that turns it into a trap. 6 in total. Not one of them will send you a warning. Medicare has a window. It opens 3 months before the month you turn 65. It covers your birthday month and it closes 3 months after. 7 months. That's it. One exception, and it catches people out. If your birthday falls on the 1st of the month, the whole window shifts back by 1. It opens 4 months before and it closes 2 months after. Some people never think about that window because the government handles it. If you're already collecting Social Security at 65, you're enrolled automatically, Part A and Part B both, and a card arrives 3 months before your birthday. Which sounds like good news and sometimes isn't. If you're still working and you meant to delay Part B, that card is your only warning. Keep it and you've kept Part B. And the premiums come straight out of your Social Security payment. But millions delay Social Security because waiting means larger checks later. If that's you, nothing arrives. No card. No countdown. It opens and closes in silence. That silence is where the damage starts. Part A is hospital care, and for most people it's free. Part B is everyday care. Doctors, labs, outpatient services. And Part B has a premium. So someone signs up for the free part, feels covered and stops there. For most people, Part B is the one that carries the penalty. Your Part B premium may go up 10% for every full 12-month period you could have had it and didn't. And you pay that for as long as you have Part B. Not a fine, a permanent increase. A necessary word before we go further. This channel is educational only, not financial, tax, or legal advice. And I'm not a registered investment advisor. Every rule here comes from the current Medicare and You Handbook, the Social Security Administration, and federal law, all linked below. Your state may give you more rights than the federal rules do. But here's the contradiction. Some people delay Part B for years and owe nothing. It's completely legal and often the smartest move available. The trouble is telling those two groups apart. If you're working past 65 and covered by a group health plan based on current employment, yours or your spouse's, you can sign up any time while that coverage lasts. And once it ends, you get an 8-month special enrollment period, usually with no penalty at all. It doesn't matter how big the employer is. That's worth saying plainly because a lot of people believe it does. That special enrollment period turns on one thing: whether the coverage comes from current work. But read the clock carefully. Those 8 months begin the month after the employment ends or the coverage ends. Whichever happens first. Not whichever suits you. Whichever comes first. Employer size does decide something, just not that. It decides who pays first. 20 or more employees and the group plan generally pays before Medicare. Fewer than 20 and Medicare generally pays first. So if you delayed Part B, the share Medicare would have covered is the share nobody covers. Your penalty protection holds. Your coverage doesn't. Two separate rules, and it's easy to hear the first and assume the second. Then there's the worst version of all. COBRA, retiree coverage, veterans coverage, a marketplace plan. They all feel like real insurance because they are. Cards, networks, premiums, customer service lines. None of them count as coverage based on current employment. And here's the detail that does the damage. After coverage based on current employment ends, you have 8 months to sign up for Part B, whether or not you choose COBRA. The clock starts when the job ends, not when the COBRA ends. COBRA can run 18 months. The window is 8. So somewhere around month 9, the door closes and they don't feel it because they're still insured, still paying premiums, still carrying a card. Then the COBRA runs out, they go to sign up, and generally there's no special enrollment period for Part B. Covered the whole time and penalized the whole time. Now, the sentence that costs more than almost any other. I don't take any medication. The most reasonable thing in the world to say. And expensive. Part D, the drug coverage is optional. But once your initial window has passed, go 63 days or more without Medicare drug coverage or other coverage that officially counts as creditable, and a second penalty starts building. 1% for every month you went without. 5 years of skipping it is roughly 60% added on. And here's the part that stings. That penalty is measured against a national benchmark premium, not your own plans. And the benchmark is recalculated every year, so your penalty never settles. A moving target for as long as you have drug coverage, on the theory that someday you might need it. Someday most people do. But none of that is the one that does the real damage. Those are money mistakes. This next one is a door. Original Medicare has no cap on what you can spend in a year. None unless you have other coverage sitting on top of it. You pay a share of every service with no ceiling where that share stops. And a percentage of a very large number is still very large. So many people buy a supplement called Medigap to cover that exposure. And there's a window for that too. 6 months, beginning the first month you're 65 or older and enrolled in Part B. The handbook calls it the best time to buy a Medigap policy. Here's why. After that window closes, you may not be able to buy a Medigap policy at all, or it may cost more. In certain situations, you keep the right regardless. But mostly the insurer is entitled to ask about your health and to decide. Nothing announces the closing. And the cruelest detail is the timing. Because the moment you finally want a supplement, after the diagnosis, after the scare, is exactly when they're allowed to say no. Which makes one early decision heavier than it looks. Medicare Advantage is easy to walk into. Lower premium extras bundled in, and for plenty of people it genuinely is the better fit. But in most states, walking back out is the hard part. Return to original Medicare with a supplement 5 years later, and you face those same health questions with 5 more years behind you. There is one way back. Join an Advantage plan when you're first eligible at 65, and you generally get about 12 months to change your mind and still buy certain Medigap policies in your state. After that, the door can close entirely, and where it doesn't, it gets much more expensive to open. One more because it catches the most disciplined people of all. If you've been funding a health savings account and you plan to work past 65, here's what happens when you enroll. Premium-free Part A can start retroactively, up to 6 months back. though never before your first month of eligibility. And you can't contribute once you have Medicare. So those contributions become excess contributions, taxes, penalties. The fix is one sentence. Stop contributing 6 months before the month you apply, or the month before you turn 65 if you're enrolling right at 65. And that's the pattern running through all of them. None of these rules are hidden. They're published, public, free to read. They're just never handed to you when you need them. Medicare doesn't send a countdown. The windows just close. So all 6 in one place. 1. The 7-month window around your 65th birthday, shifted back a month if you were born on the 1st. 2. The Part B penalty, 10% for every full 12 months you could have had it and didn't for as long as you have Part B. 3. Current employment coverage protects you at any employer size and gives you 8 months once it ends. COBRA and retiree coverage don't count. 4. Part D. 63 days without creditable drug coverage starts a second penalty. 5. The Medigap window, 6 months from the month you're 65 and on Part B. 6. Health savings accounts. Stop contributing 6 months before the month you apply. So if you're near 65 or you love someone who is, here's the one thing worth doing this week. Take a calendar. Find the month you turn 65. Count 3 months back and 3 forward. Born on the 1st? Shift it back a month. Because the day after one of these closes, it looks and feels identical to the day before. That's the whole problem. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. It genuinely means a lot. If this video gave you something to think about, do one small thing. Subscribe to Retirement Decisions Desk. Every video here unpacks one retirement decision, and subscribing is how you'll never miss the next one. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.